listeners. Our guest on Just Talking is Kevin Douglas Neighbors, live on the Chris College Show, Millennial Talk Show. And we got him joining in on us right now. How's it going, Kevin? What's up? What's happening, fam? You live.
I don't know if you can hear us.
Oh, okay, I think he's slowly trying to figure it out. I can see it. We can see him, but we're going to get it ready to rock and roll. We'll give him a second. You ready to go, Kevin? You just let us know what's good.
Yay!
All right, there we are. And no, it's all good. We're beyond stoked to have you on, brother. You got a phenomenal piece that, Marissa and I were able to get a sneak peek of, and I want you to tell the CCS family what your new play, Versatile, is all about.
So my play, Versatile, Stories from Inside the Closet of a Half-Black Gay Man, is about my stories growing up as a half-Black gay man who was in foster care, who went to, ended up being adopted, but in the 90s, it was like you couldn't really adopt Black children, actually, in a white family without like tons of just barrier after barrier after barrier. So me and my brother sat in the same family for like a good 8 years, just waiting for them to be like, hey, you can have them. And it just kind of goes from when I was a kid and what, having to deal with the foster care system and not understanding why I couldn't be adopted, to, classmates that grew up in a white community, and they'd be like, what are you? And I'd be like, Kevin, what?
Right.
Like, what are you? Kevin. Oh no, I mean like ethnically, right? And then they I had an afro, so they put like pens and coins in my hair and things, and I wouldn't know because I couldn't really feel it. But then I started to be able to feel it. And then we, move forward as I start to, grow up and become an adolescent, and, being a Black man in a white community, people would, call me the N-word on the way home from school, and they would, just kind of be overall dicks. And then, you have the media with all of the stuff that was going on in the, I'm an adolescent at this point, but like 2010, 2011, 12, 9, wow. With, Obama being elected, like it was a big deal.
That was high school era.
Yeah, right,
you,
right. I was like, and I'll never forget like a lot of, so I have news segments in my show where like I play these two news characters. It's a solo show, so it's me playing 30 plus characters. And I have these news segment characters that like are essentially Fox News. I call them the real folks news. It's really, really fun. My favorite characters, and all of the clips are pulled from like things that I researched. And I was like, let's see, what were people saying back then? And so I say the words verbatim. And one of the things that people would say is the world ready for a Black president? And I'd be like, yes. Are we? Right. But it was confusing to me, so it's stories about that. And then, as you grow up, racism it looks one way when you're a little kid, and it looks another way when you start to grow older, right? And people get a little bit more aggressive. At first, it's like kind of confusion and isolation and, relegation, if you will.
Right.
And
you raised that real clearly right in the beginning of your piece, actually, because you say in Versatiles that you're still perceived Black.
Yeah.
And how do you want to be perceived as?
I guess the answer to that is, first and foremost, I want to be perceived as Kevin, right? Like I say it in my show, I'm a mixed bag of identity, right? And like a lot of that is both like I'm confused, but it's also like, no, I'm gay, I'm Black, I'm masculine, I'm feminine, I'm white, I'm so many different things. And so how I want to be identified is a mixed Black man, or just a man.
But it's also, Kevin, my understanding that you call yourself the white sheep.
Oh, yeah.
What does that even mean?
So like this is more within the Black community than my own family, because I was born, I was born and then put into a white family. But my brother, he's darker than me by like several shades. Like he's the color of like a good dark mahogany, right? And so I'm like the white sheep of our family because he's darker. I ended up meeting my biological family later in life. And even among them, I got a little sister, I got an older sister, and I got my big brother who grew up with me because we were actually fostered together.
But tell me this though, Kevin,
Yeah.
why was this so important for you to express this in your play? Because as you keep mentioning, you were raised in the foster system, growing up as a white parent. What does the CCS family need to know, and the viewers who go and see your one-man show? Why was this so important to express in this play?
Because we walk around, Black men and women, we walk around and we're looked at. We're trying to figure out, right? The darker you are, usually the more like intense, like aggressive stares you'll get. Like people are scared of you. For me, people try and just figure me out. Like, what are you? Some people still follow me around, especially in more rural areas. They'll follow me around in stores, or they'll just kind of like stare, and it's invasive, right? And then on top of that, I mean, for me personally, like I know within the Black community, I get people are like, oh, you're white bright, you're light bright, you're white skin, yada yada yada. And the truth is that doesn't mean that I don't face some of the same obstacles that they do. I still had discrimination within the school system. I have a whole scene in my play where I took like 4 different times that I was stopped by the police in my vehicle and kind of put them together to make one piece that can represent what that feels like. And I mean, they still pull a gun out when I reach for my ID in my backpack, and so there's just like a lot of things that happen that are ridiculous. I'll never forget one time I was with my brother, and I like left and he got stopped by the police. They thought that he had robbed a liquor store, and they held him at gunpoint, and they sat up one of our white friends first to be like, hey, what happened? Did you rob this liquor store? The victim was kept down. And so those are our realities. We walk with them every day. We Google Black community in X place before you go there. Even with being gay, you Google like, hey, I'm going to go vacation in Europe. Is the city that I'm going to okay for queer people or Black people? And so that's why I need to communicate it.
And you had, I just want to go quickly back a little bit. We had a guest on here, Baby Byron. So that law you were talking about white people not being able to adopt Black children was because of him. He was actually really big in the news. He was centered on that. Now that you experienced that same thing, do you feel that law at the time is fair because you didn't have Black experiences? You don't know what that is to be Black.
That's a great question.
That's a really good question. And I still struggle with it. I mean, should there be an outright ban on it? No. Should they do their best to, they were right. This all started the Black Social Workers Organization. We talked about in my show in the 1970s. They were adamant, like they called it cultural genocide, which it is. Look at me, listen to my voice. I sound like a white boy, right? And like, why is that? Because I wasn't raised in a Black family. Does that make me less of a human or less Black? In my opinion, no. Yeah, but I think they should do everything they can. They should create programs to encourage Black communities to adopt and foster within the Black community. And what they do now, which is good, is when my parents got me, they didn't get any training, education, anything. The first thing they do now when you say, hey, I have a Black child that I'm fostering, they go, okay, here's an entire like 18-hour course that you have to take that teaches you about hair, that teaches you about racism.
How to do your hair. Yeah. Like how to do a Black person's hair is so different than mine. Like,
and I know we're going to be tackling a lot of the themes in Versatile, but it is my understanding that you implemented slam poetry into this piece. And for anyone like me who has no clue what slam poetry is, let us know what's good. Okay. What is this?
So slam poetry is when you speak with words and rhythm without cadence, without perpetuating rhyme, and cadence is the focus, and you talk like this, sort of. That's like what you think slam poetry is, but it takes on different forms. Like I kind of did my own twist on it, but I discovered, I found this guy, Anthony McPherson on Facebook and Instagram. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's freaking brilliant. And I was like, wow, I want to do that. I'm gonna do that. He's mixed Black. And so I have this whole like piece that I open up with slam poetry, and then we go all the way through. And there's little segments where I'll stop and I'll do slam poetry to sort of explain what's going on within myself, what's going on outside of myself, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason why I do that is because being mixed Black, or just Black in general as well, is such a complex thing. There's so many frustrating, confusing things that happen to us. And to be able to put that in a scene without making it be like that person is bad, that person is good, blah, 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 blah. You have to go beyond the scene, and poetry for me was the access point to be able to explain what that experience is like. And like I have the top piece is like, how does it go? It goes, okay, I'm like a light switch with the dimmer, light skin, half black, half white, in love with Blink-182, just not in front of my black friends, in love with Big Sean and Soulja Boy, just not in front of my white friends, and I love Lady Gaga, just not in front of my straight friends. Also, I love Chick-fil-A, just not in front of my gay friends.
Right. It's really,
I love that.
And then it goes into like serious, like it's a mixed bag of identity, emotion, and complexity. I can't love me, traumatized by a political existence and able to make sense of who I am. Right. So it's just that kind of.
But I know Marissa and I, you know, because Marissa, you're very much in the theater world, and we both raised this question, right?
Yeah. Well, the whole thing, I think I love slam poetry. Alex Alfaro, who has his piece out there right now that just got done with Center Theater. The thing about slam poetry that I love is that it takes an emotion and anger, the disassociation that you're trying to muddle through your brain, and it comes out in your authentic voice.
Yeah.
So I love slam poetry.
Yeah.
And is that why you also, because I know you're talking about why you used it versus the scene performances, but is it that also that struggling of emotion is also why you used it?
Yeah, because I mean, it allows you to just fully express in every part of yourself. Your body comes into it too. Like if you ever look up slam poetry battles or competitions, I mean, they'll do groups, they'll do singles, and they'll be like, and all over. Like I have my favorite part, one of my favorite parts, there's a couple, is actually it's a slam poetry scene between me and my adopted father, where he wasn't great on the race front. Like back then, things were horrible and white people were woke. Yeah, even though we're not really woke now, but we have some work to do. But the whole scene, I'm like going back and forth with my dad, where he's like, black men are thugs, Kevin, prone to crime, they're criminals. Dad, black like me, criminals like me. What about me? No, not like you, son. You were raised different. God's purpose for you and our family. Blah 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 blah. And I just rhyme off of him, and it's like this cool thing. And there's like motion in it where I'm, covering my eyes, doing actions, and it's just a full body experience.
And I know, I noticed this real quickly with you. I noticed the shirt.
Oh yeah,
you got the Lion King shirt on, and that is quite a theme in Versatile, because I know there was a particular line that you said right in the beginning where you say the only connection that you have with Africa and Black people is Lion King. Explain to the listeners how so and what that means to you.
So I don't explicitly say it in my show. I just throw it in there from the beginning.
You throw it in our face, and I wasn't sure whether that was a joke, a pun, or were you literal about it? I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
So what I do is like the very opening scene, I like come into his face and like, wait, am I? And this character that I titled a baboon, right? Like Rafiki, okay, themes. And he's like, that just was the question. The question is, who are you? I don't know. And it all throughout it. So like the whole, I have a lion, a hyena, and a baboon. The hyena represents like this, like biting, and it has like a voice that sounds like this, and is always criticizing my choices and questioning my own identity. And then a lion that's like very slow and talks to me to guide me to where I need to go. And the reason I have it there is because as I was growing up, first off, the first thing that I came to my foster family with was a Simba and Nala doll. Me and my brother had the opposites, right? And that's all we had, right? And some clothes, obviously. And so when I was growing up, Lion King was like, this is Lion King. This is Africa. This is where you are from. Welcome, watch this movie.
It's sad that Marissa and I are both laughing at this because we just know how true it is.
Part is I heard people say that, like, oh, look at how beautiful Africa is. This is all you know.
That's all you know.
The whole continent.
Yeah, there's happy lions. You deal with a couple hyenas.
Believe it or not, the people in Africa are not animals, like literally. And then, one of the things that was considered Black culture back in like the 90s, and it really wasn't. Because they had the whole Broadway show and everything. And even to this day, like 2021 is the year we're in? I can't remember anymore. And
COVID.
it is, yeah. Disney.
Like, where am I?
Disney on Disney Plus during Black History Month this year put the original Lion King on under their Black culture playlists, and I was like, that's not Black culture. And back then, it was just a point for me.
But let me ask you this, because you are on the topic of Black culture, and I know a lot of people, a lot of the times, because I know in your play you emphasize how skin color and the different shades of Black throughout your whole piece. But have you, because this is a common talking point that's being discussed more frequently in 2021, where it's like, if we stop describing each other by our race, gender, and sex, would there be less division? And I wanted to throw this at you because I don't know if you remember this or have you ever seen this, but Morgan Freeman has an infamous interview with 60 Minutes. This was back in 2005, where he states the following, quote, "You're going to relegate my history to 1 month? Which month is White History Month?" End quote. So is this an outdated mindset from baby boomers?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously, my reality is that I walk through the world differently than you and any other white man that walks through, and I walk through differently than anybody who has darker skin than I do. So to say it doesn't matter and we shouldn't label each other, yeah, we shouldn't label each other in the sense that this is your camp, this is my camp, this is your camp. We should have camps and bring each other together, right? But we can't just erase the fact that my history and ancestors come from slavery and that hasn't been corrected yet. There are some people, I know Black people who have experienced less racism in their lives than me, and I know people who have experienced more. I forget the name of the actor, but he was on Captain America. He's the new Captain America.
Oh yeah.
He said that he's never really experienced racism before. And so did like Snoop Dogg. And one, I find that kind of hard to believe. Right. And two, even if that's the case, other people still are, and we can't ignore the fact that it happens.
And it reminds me of theater terms. So you have, colorblind casting, which is infamous in Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. And then you also have color conscious casting.
Mm-hmm. Or you got Marvel films.
We're starting to hear, and directors really inspire that. I mean, there's a great thing, Black acting methods, where Justin Amika comes in and talks about, how he color blind casting, how he felt he had to play white.
And I wish we could talk about this more, but I know we only got a couple minutes, and I did want to bring this this talking point in because you just hit it on the head. We're still dealing with a lot of this stuff today, and like literally last weekend, we all know the situation surrounding DaBaby, which even prompted a response from Elton John. Like, when Elton John comes into the mix, you know that we all need to take our, put our glasses on and really focus in on this. And I really wanted to know what your thoughts are on the homophobic slur that DaBaby was using during his Rolling Loud's performance in Miami last weekend.
Well, the Black community is notorious for homophobia. Mm-hmm. So I am not surprised, and it is something that we are actively working on within our community. We have Lil Nas with the whole kissing thing, and find a Black rapper that made it.
Do you think when Lil Nas X pushes the envelope in his music videos that kind of helps bring change to the Black community?
I do. I think he's saying, fuck you. I'm sorry for my language.
But you're good. You're good.
He's saying, hey, you know what? This is bullshit.
That is very genuine. I love it. Yeah. Tell us more, Kevin.
And that's kind of what I try to do with my show too, is be like, I'm not sorry. And mainly this one is pointed towards the white community more than the Black community. But at the end, I have some stuff where I'm like, let's talk about our colorism within our own community. It exists, but we shouldn't be attacking each other from the inside, because how can we rise up when we're still fighting amongst ourselves? Black is Black is Black is Black.
Yeah. What do you think about? What do you think about your thoughts on T.I. coming to DaBaby's defense when he wrote on Instagram, "If Lil Nas X can kick his shit in peace, so should DaBaby, #equality." Because you have DaBaby who's promoting homophobia.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand what that meant.
#equality is that the Black community is homophobic. Mm-hmm. Shut it down.
But isn't it sad that in 2021 we still must educate the youth that not just gay men can contract HIV and AIDS? Like, isn't that a problem? I mean, we already have sex ed classes going into middle school. Why are we so ignorant? I mean, does this show how fragile our masculinity is in 2021?
Yeah, that's, actually I work with the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival. And one of the things I'm really excited about is promoting white male artists to create works that talk about toxic masculinity and white privilege in a way that is critical, and not critical towards like as a negative, but critically analyzing.
And I find that amazing, Kevin. I know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we got like literally 30 seconds, and I want to do you service and let the CCS family know what's good. Where can they check out your one-man show, Versatile?
Find me on Instagram. First off, follow me, Kevin_Neighbors on Instagram. That's it. And then you can also find it from the page. And then in my bio link, there is a page to my Fringe Festival where I'm a scholarship recipient for community impact. And
perfect.
You can get my tickets there. There's 3 dates. You can stream it or you can come in person. So wherever you are, you can access this and just buy your tickets there.
Hey, that's what's good. You know the drill. Go and follow him right after the show. You know what? Just do it during the half-hour mark. Kevin Neighbors, thank you again for joining the Chris College Show Millennial Talk Show, and we cannot wait to check out your one-man piece. Much success, brother. We'll talk in the future.
Bye.
Peace.